You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday. Yes, it is 22nd day of April 2016. Friday, right? Remember when Friday meant something? Remember when Friday was the day you got paid? And getting paid meant either they put cash in your hand or more likely a check, but it was something you could actually hold in your hand. It wasn't just some numbers, some digits that got added to your bank account via automatic deposit. Now, I understand that all that's very convenient, but somehow Friday lost its pizzazz. Oh, sorry, I just saw this. Hang on one second. Anyway, moving right along. It's the Friday we've been working for. It's not the same Friday we used to work for, but Friday nonetheless. 2 days looming large ahead. What will you do with your weekend? Let's take a look at the numbers. Looking a little red out there. All right, the Dow, cash markets are down 26 points. NASDAQ, big leader to the downside, down 60 points. Microsoft had some negative earnings, and there was another tech titan that also had negative earnings. So the Dow down 20, NASDAQ down 60, and the S&P 500 down 6. Russell 2000, dancing to the beat of a different drummer, up 6 points. Moving along to our commodity basket, crude oil is up almost $1. It's over 2%, trading at $44.09. Gold is down almost $11, trading at $1239.40, and that's down almost 1%. Heading to Asia, the Nikkei up 208. A couple of great days in a row for the Nikkei. That's over 1%. Shanghai up almost 7 points. And the Hang Seng, not so much, down 155 points, 3/4 of 1%. And Europe, color of the day, red and more red. There's stuff red, you don't even know what it is. The OMX S30, right? The OBX, the OMX, the ATG, yeah, they're red. Actually, I take that back, the ATG is green. All right, here's the ones you do know about. The DAX, down 62 points. The FTSE, down 71 points. That's just over 1%. And the CAC 40 down 13. Yeah, there we go. So Europe's red. Asia's mixed. And the U.S. is red with the exception of the Russell bucking the trend. Again, if my numbers are correct. Yesterday, my Dow number was hung up for some reason. I've got the Dow down 26, the NASDAQ down 59, the S&P 500 down 5.5. Let me refresh that. Because that 10-to-1 ratio, which when I got my numbers straightened out yesterday, fell right into step. And here comes the big refresh. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah. Dow down 21. The S&P down 5. Okay. Here's how that's supposed to work. If the S&P is really down 5, then the Dow should be down 50. If the Dow is really down 21, the S&P should only be down 2. So they're a little out of step, but they're on the same side of the street. So there you go. Big news. Well, the biggest news out there probably is, well, of course, the president is having a speech right now with Mr. Cameron, a most trusted partner. But has the world forgot about what happened in Ecuador? I mean, my goodness, the lives lost. We talked about how they're going to pay to rebuild. They're going to tax those who have money. In particular, those who have what's considered to be a lot of money. They're coming in hard and fast to take that money. And as much as I know I should have rebooted today. Before the show. not during the show. Right? Trying to reload this Shockwave. Who needs Shockwave? I don't need Shockwave. Do you need Shockwave? Unbelievable. All right. Everybody's talking about Prince. I mean, you know, I knew him for Purple Rain and When Doves Cry, and I knew he was a talented performer. But I guess I didn't know to what degree people, like when Michael Jackson passed, that was a big deal. And I understood why it was a big deal. Well, apparently to a lot of people, Prince's passing is as big a deal, maybe even bigger to some people. Now, TMZ, and if you don't know who TMZ is, you don't need to know. It stands for 30 Mile Zone, which I think is the 30 miles surrounding Hollywood or LA County's 30 square miles. No, I think LA County's. Anyway, stands for the 30 Mile Zone. That's what TMZ stands for. And it's one of those TV tabloid television shows. They are reporting that Prince was treated for a drug overdose in the days leading up to his death. While Prince's publicist previously said that he made an emergency landing in his jet for a rush to the hospital because of a flu, TMZ source in Moline, Illinois. You know, when TMZ comes to town, it's probably not hard to find a source in Moline, Illinois. I'm not making fun of Moline, Illinois. Never been there. I'm sure it's a wonderful town filled with great people. But when TMZ comes rolling in with their cameras and their microphones, you know, everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. So anyway, their sources in Moline, Illinois, where he landed, say the musician was given a save shot, typically administered to counteract the effects of an opiate, Narcan. We discussed that yesterday on the show. Or maybe it was last night in the workshop that we talked about it being Narcan. Doctors advised Prince to stay for care in the hospital for 24 hours, according to TMZ, but he and his team left when he could not get a private room. It should be noted, yeah, I bet the hospital in Moline, Illinois, probably not a big hospital. I'll be honest, I never heard of Moline before yesterday. It should be noted that no official autopsy information or cause of death has been released at this point. Prince's publicist was not immediately available for comment. Now, the coroner was supposed to, at 9 a.m. Illinois time today, was supposed to start the autopsy. And they said it would be a couple days before they could give a cause of death, and that the toxicology report could take as long as a couple weeks. Remember with the Michael Jackson propofol. Now, supposedly Michael Jackson just wanted to get a good night's sleep. Whether there was, it never came out that there was anything any more insidious than propofol, which was administered by the doctor who got in a lot of trouble for administering it. It's sort of an anesthesia because Michael Jackson had a problem with sleeping. He couldn't sleep. Now, this Prince was a real private kind of guy. Very flamboyant when he chose to take on the stage. But once he left the stage, he lived a pretty quiet life in his ivory tower. What I did not know that he was married, yes, to a woman. I did not know that. And also, David says Moline is a small town not too far from here. Okay. He also had a 1-year-old son who died, from what I read this morning, not too long ago from a rare bone disease. So we may never know what led up to it all, but we'll certainly hear versions and stories and ideas. TMZ may not be the best place to get your information, and then again, you know, maybe it is. All right. We talked yesterday about Donald Trump projecting a different image. We've been talking on this radio program for some time that, Donald, you really need to start acting like a president if you want to be the president. This morning, headlines, Donald Trump's chief lieutenants told skeptical Republican leaders Thursday that the GOP frontrunner has been projecting an image so far in the 2016 primary season, and the part he's been playing is now evolving in a way that will improve his standing among general election voters. Now, I heard this morning from some guy who writes for Vanity Fair, I think, which is not a magazine I typically read, but they actually do some pretty good journalistic work over there. I always thought it was just sort of a, you know, like a ladies' magazine, a Better Homes and Garden. Not knocking lady in your magazine, ladies, in any way, but some pretty good journalism has come out of Vanity Fair. Anyway, he said that Donald's the way he's been playing this is that every morning he would tweet out the most outrageous thing he could come up with, complete with misspellings, so that people would believe it really was him and not his press secretary sending the tweet. He wanted to create the image that it really was the Donald with his little BlackBerry sending out this message. And he wanted it to be as outrageous as possible because he knew that would carry through the entire day. It would give every journalist, every newscaster, every broadcaster something to jabber about all day long. And that turned into free publicity for him, which is pretty smart for a guy that's funding his own campaign. Well, according to this article, all that's going to change. He's going to calm down. The message delivered behind closed doors in a private briefing is part of the campaign's intensifying effort to convince party leaders that Trump will moderate his tone in the coming months to help deliver big electoral gains this fall, despite his contentious ways. Even as his team pressed Trump's case, he raised fresh concern among some conservatives by speaking against North Carolina's bathroom law, which directs transgender people to use the bathroom that matches the sex on their birth certificate. Trump also came out against the federal government's plan to replace President Andrew Jackson with the civil rights figure Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. The developments came as the GOP's messy fight for the White House spilled into a seaside resort in South Florida, while candidates in both parties fought out across the country before important primary contests in the Northeast. Hollywood's Diplomat Resort and Spa was transformed into a palm-treed political battleground. Trump's newly hired senior aide, Paul Manafort, made the case to the Republican National Committee members that Trump has two personalities, one in private and one on stage. When he's out on the stage, when he's talking about the kind of things he's talking about on the stump, he's projecting an image that's for that purpose. You'll start to see more depth of the person, the real person. You'll see a real different guy, he said. He gets it, Manafort said, of Trump's need to moderate his personality. The part that he's been playing is evolving into the part that now you've been expecting, but he wasn't ready for because he had first to complete the first phase. The negatives will come down. The image is to change. The message was welcomed by some party officials, but criticized by others who suggested it raised doubts about his authenticity. He's trying to moderate. He's getting better, said Ben Carson, a Trump ally who was part of the GOP frontrunner's RNC outreach team. While Trump's top advisors were promising Republican leaders that the GOP frontrunner would moderate his message, the candidate was telling voters he wasn't ready to act presidential. I just don't know if I want to do it yet, Trump said during a raucous rally in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. At some point, I'm going to be so presidential that you'll be so bored, he said, predicting that the size of his crowds would dwindle if he dialed back his rhetoric. There was evidence of drama on the Democratic side as well. Prominent Southern Democrats urged Bernie Sanders to stop dismissing Hillary Clinton's landslide primary wins across the South, where the frontrunner's popularity among non-whites has helped fuel her success. Sanders said the results in the South distort reality because they come from the country's most conservative region. Well, really? Well, thank you, Bernie. Don Fowler of South Carolina, a former chairman of the Democratic National Committee, and other Clinton supporters told Sanders in a letter that our national Democratic leaders should invest in our races and causes to amplify our voices, not diminish them. One final piece on that, and then we'll move on to something relevant, like our good word for the day. As Trump continues to rail against a rigged nomination process, he sent Manafort and his newly hired political director, Rick Wiley, to help improve relations with party officials at the meeting. He might not win some of these blue states, but you can make the Democrats spend money and time, Wiley said. Trump's team also signaled to the RNC a fresh willingness to dip into the New York real estate mogul's personal fortune to fund his presidential bid, in addition to helping the National Committee raise money, a promise that comes just as Trump launches his first big television advertising campaign in a month. His campaign reserved about $2 million worth of airtime in soon-to-vote Pennsylvania and Indiana. That's coming out of his pocket. This is a first. I don't know that this has ever happened before. He's willing to spend what is necessary to finish this out. That's a big statement from him. I mean, it's not like if he loses, he gets his money back. I mean, that money is spent. And he certainly isn't doing it for the money, because yesterday, I think I mentioned the presidential salary, I think it's somewhere around $400,000. Trump is increasingly optimistic about his chances in 5 states holding primary contests this coming Tuesday: Rhode Island, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland. He is now the only Republican candidate who could possibly collect the 1,237 delegate majority needed to claim the nomination before the party's July convention. Chief rival Ted Cruz hopes Trump will fall short of a nomination, clinching delegate majority so that he can turn enough delegates to his side at the convention to give him the prize. The political posturing came as Trump sparked new criticism by addressing the debate over which bathrooms transgender people should use. Speaking at a town hall event on NBC's Today Show, Trump said that North Carolina's bathroom law has caused unnecessary strife, and transgender people should be able to choose which bathroom to use. Now, you know, I don't know. I take some issue with this. This effect, I don't know if you know this, but some high schools have this policy. Did you know that? Those of you with high school kids should probably know that. Depends upon the state you live in. There have been very few complaints the way it is, Trump said. People go, they use the bathroom, they feel it's appropriate. Cruz lashed out at Trump's support of grown men using women's restrooms. The Texas senator called Trump's position a reckless policy that will endanger our loved ones. Trump also said the plan to swap Jackson for Tubman on the $20 bill is an act of pure political correctness. Ask most people on the street who Harriet Tubman was. They might not know. Most know Andrew Jackson. Now, that's not a slight to Miss Tubman. I'm just saying. Who chose her for the $20 bill? Michael is still out enjoying his little mini vacay, all 2 days of it. He'll be back with us on Monday. Normally at this time, we would just slide right over to him for a recap of everything that happened in the live trading room. All that happened in the live trading room today was Bert and I kind of slow-moing our way through the morning, answering questions, pointing out trades as they set up, trades that made it, trades that failed. And at the end, I was asked if I recorded it, and I thought, because somebody actually wanted to watch it again. I was surprised, because we don't have that fast tempo that Michael carries with him, you know, from trade to trade to trade. We just kind of groove our way through it. And the answer was no. I didn't record it because I didn't think anybody would want to watch it again. So next time I'll know. All right, today's good word for the day comes from Psalm 102:7. I am as a sparrow alone upon the housetop. Now, what we're talking about here is you can make a difference. Do you believe you can make a difference? Do you feel unqualified for the job that God has given you? Do you think he picked the wrong person? Many scriptural heroes felt the same. David, whose Psalms encourage millions, a man after God's own heart, lamented, I am a sparrow alone upon the housetop. It's hard to imagine a less significant bird, yet Jesus said, not a single sparrow can fall to the ground without your Father knowing. Matthew 10:29. Charles Swindoll writes, in our impersonal world, it's easy to underestimate the significance of one. With so many who seem more capable, gifted, prosperous, and important, who am I to think my part amounts to much? Aren't you glad Martin Luther King, Walt Disney, Winston Churchill, Irving Berlin, Abraham Lincoln, Charles Wesley, and Mother Teresa didn't think that way? How many people did it take to help the victim on the Jericho Road? How many were chosen to confront Pharaoh and lead the Exodus? How many lost sheep were of concern to the shepherd? How many did God use to prepare the way for the Messiah? Well, the answer to all of that is one. So if just one can do all that, then the point is you, a party of one, can make a difference. Red Skeleton used to do a skit. It's about the Pledge of Allegiance, but he really broke it down. And it started out with, I, a party of one, pledge allegiance. You should bring that up and read it someday. If you've never read that, Google it. Red Skeleton's Pledge of Allegiance. You can actually probably watch it on YouTube. So the answer to all those questions was just one. Centuries ago, a woman named Esther thought there was nothing she could do. She was the Jewish wife of a Persian king who was about to be tricked into making a disastrous decision that would exterminate the Jews. Like everyone who stands in the gap, Esther was willing to get involved to the point of sacrifice and say, if I perish, I perish. That's Esther 4:16. Today, ask yourself this question. What should I be doing? What did God call me to do? What did he create me to do? What is my divine purpose? If you don't know, I've said this many times, ask him and then listen. And the answer may not be what you want to hear. The answer may not be what you expect to hear. But if you're going to ask him, listen to what he has to say. And don't listen for an audible voice. Listen with your heart. You'll know it's him. And then you'll be faced with a challenge. Will you obey what he's created you to do, what he's called you to do, what he's asking you to do, or not? You, a party of one, can make a difference. Start today. That's our good word for the day. JT said, is a good way to teach the basic setup. Were you referring to the trading room this morning, JT? Is that what you're referring to? All right, let's take a look here at the S&P 500. Now, remember earlier in the week, market got all, this was our gap lower open on Sunday night, which made it all the more unusual that we reached our highest weekly trading zone by Tuesday. Zone to zone to zone to zone. Oh, Mike Reed's in the house. I didn't see him there. Let me bring him on now, because we just finished our good word for the day. And before I get into the recap here of the Concierge Trade Alerts, let's have a chat with Mike. Mike, how are you?
Hey, Joey. How you
Good,
doing?
good to hear from you, man.
Oh, thank you. Good to hear from you. I tried coming on yesterday, but I don't think you saw me. So,
No, I never saw the little link on the side there.
That's right. Thought I'd give you one more shot today.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I can hang around for a little bit, but how are things going there for you? Pretty good?
Yeah, it's, last couple of days have been busy. Michael's been away, so I've been trying to take care of the trading room and the radio and the mentoring sessions in the afternoon. And then last night we had a partners meeting, so yesterday was a busy day. Today, I've got back-to-back mentoring sessions all afternoon, so today will be a busy day too.
Yeah,
busy, good. Busy keeps you out of trouble. So.
Well, yeah. but busy, non-stop busy is to wear on you after a while, don't you? I know how that is. So
Yeah.
you need to refresh refresh yourself. It's like you got to reboot your computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's going on with you? You had a good week?
Yeah, it's been a good week. We actually topped right at a major area, and then have turned down since.
Now,
we need to have more
was
than
this the swing high of the week? Was this a number that you had?
Yeah, it was just
Our highest
number was
number for
just
the week
above
was
that.
95, 96.
Okay. We had I had the 96, 97 as an area, and then the last one above that was 10 points higher, and I'm sorry, yeah, about 10 points higher. They missed it by more than a half points, I think. Not much, but I'm sorry, all my indicators were at, I mean, it was like everything was set up across the board. For me, it really couldn't have been much of a better setup for us to take. So we got into a swing trade on the short side and just covered it today and got about, it was in a little early, so we ended up with 20 points on that trade. So that wasn't
Nice.
too bad.
Good job.
We need to have more than a 2.5 day pullback, and today they came down to 76, 75
Mm-hmm.
support area.
For us, yeah.
Oh, you had the same time? Close to there? Or right there? Yeah, you had the same time. Okay. We're right there together, Dwayne, on that zone. And, yeah. For this to end the week on a poor note, to break down through that zone.
So what are you looking for heading into next week? Is this the beginning of a bigger down move?
Actually, to me, I think if we have made it, we're not going to make new all-time highs, which we haven't. We've been coming up to this area and crisscrossed 2100, I think. I think this is accurate.
Daily.
Remember, I think it's 53 times that we closed above, went back and forth above 2100 on the cash index and closed above or below it. So a lot of times up here that have failed. And then we made a lower high up here again. So this is it. We've only had
this is a daily chart, not the cash, but the futures.
Yeah, same, pretty much the same. Daily, okay, days. 1, 2. We've only had pullbacks that have been a couple days. Mostly 2.5 days at most on the way up, if I'm right. 2.5, a day and a half. Yeah. The 2.5 day pullbacks have been the most, Dwayne, before a bounce. So we'll see if we get something more this time. And
I mean, this little flat area right here, down at 20, 32.
38.5 was a
that would be a 24% retracement. But I mean, this thing could come all the way back to 1987. That would just be a 38% retracement, and that doesn't break the uptrend by any stretch. I mean, a 50%. Now, this 38% retracement does line up right across with these bottoms right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a 24% retracement lines up across
And
that.
drop from 2078 to 1988 would have the world, the sky is falling mentality, which would be the setup then for a beautiful bounce to take us back up to potentially test these highs. Or do you think the rest of the year As we head into the election, do you think the markets are going to stay up at these levels? Can they stay up at these levels?
Okay, well, I've thought before that we've been gonna, make a top, but we need to have more than 2.5 days on the downside before another good rally. That's all they've been on since the February low, that W bottom down there. I think that's all we've had before a bounce. So we'll have to do more than just that. I mean, look at this whole run and pullbacks. This is a 30-point pullback so far on the day session, and it's about the most, if not the most, since it's close to the most on the way up, and then all the pullbacks have only been time-wise about 2.5 days before running up. So Monday we should know, I think. If they continue selling into Monday, then I'm pretty sure we'll have a high in place, right? That'll change some things, and especially if they end up going through this 76, 75 area and taking that out the end of the week. So I think it would do some more damage. We had all of my internal gauges that I keep, and I don't know if Peter Elides still keeps some of this stuff or not, but one of the oscillators I know is a twist off of some of his work, but anyways, all my stuff was every indicator that I have, I think every single one was in the red zone for a warning or for a turn, where we normally get turns, and it has very high odds of happening, both on top and bottom. So I was really pretty confident in this setup. So, and I'm going to hang on to part of it just in case. This is like a lottery ticket in case that turns out to be, we get a significant drop from up here. So those are my thoughts, kind of, Dwayne, bigger picture and today.
So if we could take out this area here.
I'm about to break down now. Take out which area?
This little area right here.
We have some damage.
That gives up as support, then that opens the door to this area.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't hold, this 50% retracement is just kind of that. It's a 50% retracement. And yeah, I don't see.
Where's your red? What's that red one?
Yeah. So that would be pretty severe. And historically, markets do rally into the election, right?
Right. Yes. Although, yeah.
Richard said we've had 1 3.5 day pullback.
1 3.5 day pullback. Okay. All in a row. Okay. It was off by a day. All right. Well, I still think we'll know by Monday. This can carry on.
So do you think we'll close on the lows today?
Yeah, if we roll under here and take out 76, 75 area, I think we probably will. I know you don't have a shorter term chart, but it bounced back to what was initial support for this morning at the 41 area. We had, I'm sorry, 40 at the 81 level. We had 81 to 80.5, which is just a tiny little area, but they bounced back to 81 and stalled out here, and it rolled over So that keeps them in the downtrend. So I'm going to say as long as we're under 81, we're going to be under pressure here the rest of the day. So there's your stop loss, and you can take this where you want to take it. Where were we?
Let me go back to a 30-minute chart.
Some important areas down at 65.
Yeah, 64, 65. That's our next level on the downside. This 75, 76 has held up now for 1, 2, 7.5 hours almost so far.
Yeah.
In fact, it gave a pretty good little bounce.
There it is on your chart.
Yeah.
Dwayne, you see that little bounce back
right here?
On your hourly chart, just look left. It was that low area. And
this is actually a 30-minute chart.
30-minute? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there it is on your left-hand side. That was a support area.
Talking about over here?
No, 81. Let's go to your last candle to the second to the last. Yeah, right there. That top. Yeah, across there. That was a low area, a transition area.
Right. Yeah, these lows right here. These highs.
Yeah, and before that also is where they had a low. They started to run up. Secondary push. Yeah.
That's good stuff, guys. Take that in. Okay. Resist our support right here. You can draw a line across there. Make it stand down.
With my areas, it's kind of been the case all week. We've been take out resistance that would hold for new support on the rally, and then vice versa on the way down.
There you go.
That's a good there. Yeah.
How's the family?
Man, car accidents are kind of a thing around here. Seth got hit head on by a drunk driver.
Oh my goodness.
Last weekend. Yeah, he's coming home from, he took his girlfriend home and is on his way home. So a guy hit him. He saw him coming head on, so he was able to angle off a little bit. So he didn't get clipped head on, so it really wrecked up his car. Lucky he didn't get hurt. I tell you,
Did his airbags go off?
He said, yeah, I think. Either that or he didn't have an airbag. I don't know. Dwayne, that's a good question. I think I asked him, but I'm not remembering that answer right now. But anyhow, he got out right away.
Yeah.
Started shouting out because the guy hit 7 cars altogether. He was drunk, hit 7 cars, ran into a yard.
How fast was this guy going?
Not real fast because it was in a downtown area. He's probably only going about 30 or something like that. So
yeah.
Not super fast, but
so he hit 7 cars?
Yeah. And then the police followed him into, I guess he went back into his house. Yeah. I guess the drunk finds his skunk finds his hole, and the drunk found his hole. They went in with their guns.
Wow.
They went in with their guns unholstered in it. They didn't know he was dangerous or what was going to happen.
He probably passed out on the couch.
Yeah. Well, that or down at the house when they took him away, because he did some damage. Man, it could have been bad. So luckily for Seth, he didn't get hurt. But back to looking for another vehicle. That's been a constant around here lately, it seems. How about you kids, Dwayne? What's going on
Well,
this summer?
you know, they're kids, man. They're
Yeah.
angels in the morning, and they grow horns before the sun goes down. And by the time you put them to bed, they're angels again. So, you know.
So that's just school now.
Yeah, one's
Sure.
8, one's 13.
And
My son's getting ready to head to high school this coming year. And,
oh boy. Yeah.
if I'm not
How about
mistaken, it's one of those high schools where they have these transgender bathrooms that
Oh man.
Trump's talking about. Yeah, I'm surprised that that's allowed in Arizona. I'm not sure that it's true. It's something my wife overheard, but I'll have to look into it. So I'm a little concerned about him going off to high school. You know, it's his school he's in now. It was 1st through 8th grade, and so there's no middle school. It's straight from elementary to high school, and so
All right.
you know he's 2 blocks away from me here, so he knows if he does anything, I can be there. But even his high school, it's only a couple miles, maybe 3 miles away, so he better behave or I'll be there pretty quick. So well, it's good to talk to you, my friend.
Good talking to you, Dwayne.
Give my best to the family.
Thank you. You too, and I'll try and jump in next week if it's possible.
Yeah, come on. We always love to have you on anytime you can be here.
I've had a really hard time with this computer, and I got to get something changed because.
Did you get a new one, or are you just having problems with your old one?
Well, it overheats, and I need to somehow. I'm not a computer guy anymore. I just kind of fallen out keeping up with that stuff. I just need to switch over computers. I have one here in the house. I just not able to do it. So, anyways, I'll have to find someone to help me out.
So your son, they can't do it for you?
Not with the computers. No, they got you put an iPad or an iPhone in front of them, they can figure out anything, I think. But
really,
not really on the computers. No.
Okay.
No. So, unfortunately,
I thought that was sort of standard high school teaching these days, but maybe not.
Well, they do everything on computers there, but they don't. You know, instead of messing around on a laptop, at home they'll mess around on one of those little pads or whatever they are.
Tablets, right?
Well, yeah.
Gotcha.
As long as they don't get them taken away from them. So.
All right, my friend. Have a great weekend. Give my best to everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Guys, that's Mike from TradeStalker.com. If you've never been there, go check it out. Mike's got a very unique story, how he became a trader, how long he's been a trader, 30 plus years. And there's some great free information available on his website, TradeStalker.com. He's been a good friend ever since I met him in 2006, I believe it was, when we first met up. And just a really great guy. And when you go to his website and you read his story, you'll understand why he's one of my heroes. I have a lot of respect for him. Okay, let's take a look at these alerts from last night. I have, as I said, back-to-back sessions all afternoon. Michael's away, so we're gonna cut through this recap as quick as we can. All right. Alerts went out at 8:30 last night because I was trying to get them out ahead of the partners meeting. And so 8:30 would be 2030 for you non-military type. There's 2030. Okay. All right. And so we were looking to buy 2085 and a quarter. It's always obvious when I'm in a rush because I'll put it a little closer to the zone than I normally would. There's 2085. There's 2085 and a quarter. Okay. And from 2085 and a quarter, we put in a swing high up at 2085 and a quarter. The swing high is 2089. So that's a little over 3 points on the way up there. And then important prices, important areas. We all know the routine on that. Almost always tested. And so it came up and tested again here. It was good for a couple points. And here. Now on the way down, we're looking at 2076.75. See, that's another one that if I'd not been rushing myself to get done. 2076.75, and look what we did. We ran right into a wall at 75.76. So that's a real good example of why, you know, I made the mistake. I have to stand by it. And that's why I always tell you, if I give you a Concierge Trade Alert that's right up against a weekly trading zone, then that's a mistake on my part. And it's because, you know, I don't want to keep making excuses, but that's what I published, and we've just been banging back and forth. Now, the first place you'd have had, really, because this would be too much risk. This would be adequate here, adequate risk, if it weren't for the fact that you were running into this wall at 75.76. So let's see if it did any better on the Dow. And this is the highest weekly zone, I believe. No, hang on. Let me make sure. Yep, this was the highest weekly zone for the Dow. The next zone below was 17,900, which was right here. There's 900. And there's 905. That won't work, will it? There we go. And as will happen sometimes at a zone, price tends to oscillate below and above and below and above and below, and now we're staying well below so far 17,900. And the next zone of the downside is 850, 855. So let's find 855. All right, so we overshot the zone only to go right back up to the zone and right back down to the zone, and now it looks like it wants to build another leg back up to the zone. Last night, let's see what happened, 2030. Is right there. And we were looking to buy 17,910. Which will be right about here. This is what it sounds like when Dwayne cries, because he didn't look at his zones. 17,910. Yeah, you know, we just, on this first push, we got up to 17, you know, so it's like 7-point move. We need 20. This certainly filled the bill. We got up to 37, and it melted up to 42. And then on this move, we got up to 51. So there's 40 points in there. On the short side, we were looking to sell 17,860. 17,860. Which again, totally ignored the zone right below it. Ashamed of myself. I don't do this too often, but when I do it, man, I do it well. This punched through the zone and gave us a low at 17,827. So from 60 down to 27, that's 33 points. However, you all know not to trade into a zone. So that was not an optimal trade. Okay. So somebody taught me how to scrunch this up the other day. Here, let's just take a look at the numbers. By 1133. Tell me again, somebody, a ninja person. How do you scrunch it up? What's the trick? Oh, there it is. I got it. Never mind. Okay. Let me unscrunch a little bit. And I'll drop a vertical line here at 2030. Let me get this on a 30-minute time frame. That'll make it all a little bit simpler. Yeah. Okay. So that's 2030. It's one of the reasons it looked a little off. Okay, so we unscrunch it. There we go. All right. And so the deal on the Russell is we were looking to buy 1133 and sell 27. Okay. $11.33. Wrong line. Which line did I want? I want the extended line. Yeah. Okay. Whoop. Here we go, 1133. Now we got a nice trade. From 1133, we triggered up and we put in a high at 35.90. So that's 29 ticks, $290 per contract. Here, 1133, swing high, important prices, important areas, almost always tested Just see it again and again. Swing high 1135.50. It's 2.5 points. The Russell pays $100 a point. S&P is $50 a point. The Dow is $5 a point. The Russell, $100 a point. Now, I know there's the big thing about paying for the data. It's $100 a month. If you're not consistently profitable yet, or if you're not a Russell trader, it makes no sense to pay for the data. However, if you are profitable and if you are a Russell trader, then it makes perfect sense. Now from 1133, this run here, least amount of risk, most profit. From 33 to 43, that's a 10-point run. That's $1,000 per contract if you trailed it all the way up. Now that was an awful bullish move. But it happened. All right. Moving right along. We need to go to Crude. GCLM. 30 minutes. Crude oil. Okay. Let's take this out of the way. And this. And we'll do this. Okay, there's 2030. Nope. Yep, 2030. All right. So the idea on crude last night was to sell 43.50, which we had an opportunity to do right here. First move down, only made it to 43.39, so that's 11 ticks, 10 ticks at $10 per tick gives you your $100 per contract per day. Second move down took us to 43.11. Let me write 43.50 here. So 43.50 down to 43.11. So that's 39 ticks, or $390 per contract. 39 ticks. We never get out at the exact swing low or the exact swing high. Why? Because we trail our stop. And price is going to come back at some point and take you out. Okay? On the long side for crude, we have a buy at 44.80. Don't think we did make it. So there was no trigger on the long side. So we're going to move through this really fast, which is good because I have a slew of work to get done. All right. Now the NQ is down heavy today. In fact, just how much? 58 points. Okay, so let's go back to 2030 last night. There we go. NQ. By 44.95, so 44.82. So there was a chance, even though we had this huge sell-off, to take part in both sides. Two-sided action. 44.95. Two-sided action you probably had just as soon not been a part of on the long side. 44.95. Come on. You could do this. Do I make this look more difficult than it really is? No, it's really that difficult. All right, so we got a swing high here at 44.98. You need 5 points. Now, if you've got your stop here, you're going to make your 5 points here by 44.95. And here. Now, the sell side was 44.82. Swing low here, 82.25. So we didn't get triggered in until here. Now there would have been one stop here or another stop here. This stop would be more reasonable. 44.82. Of course, it's not a straight line. We'll straighten her out. There we go. So sell 44.82. All right. And the swing low is 44.31. So it's either 51 or 49. And because I gotta get done, we'll go with 49. Okay. Now that's $20 per point. There's 4 ticks to a point, $5 per tick, 4 ticks to a point, $20 per point. You need 5 points. Here's basically 50. Okay. And if you're using your indicators, you've still got the step line on the south side of the MA1. It's starting to cross here. Now 50 times 20 is 1,000, and so we have the rule of thumb: if you have $1,000 profit in a trade, what do? You get out. Why? Because the rubber band is only going to stretch so far. Now we saw the other day in gold a $2,000 run. So can the rubber band stretch that far? Absolutely. But if you don't take your profits here, there may be more to come. We may see a retracement. How much? There's another 13 minutes in the life of this candle. And this thing could rally up. The step line is going to then cross, and so then you're going to have a perfect exit signal. Question is how much of this do you want to give back? Well, the correct answer is as little as possible, if you can. All right, so let's go to gold. Wow. This is gold taking it on the chin. Okay. 2030. Gold was volatile last night. Look at that. The 2030, yeah. Okay, 2030. Okay, we want to buy 1249, which happened right here. Yeah, no, not there. How about right there, dead on the money. So 1249 took us up to 1254. So that's a $500 per contract move. And price gets back below, back and forth. Finally comes down, gives us a nice swing low, takes off again. This time we get up to 52. So from 49 to 52, that's a $300 per contract move. And the downside, that's where the money was on gold, sell 1246. 1246. $12.46. Okay, if we draw this all the way across, on this first little move down, you got to look at where your stop would be. It's not a trade you really want to be on. Okay, right here, least amount of risk, the biggest payoff. Always keep that in mind. Look for the low risk opportunities. You don't know it's going to drop that far, but you know you've got low risk. And so whether you've got high risk or low risk, you've still got the same possibility of this. Now we dropped from 1245 all the way down to 1230. That's $1,500 per contract. Is that what it was? 1245? No, I'm sorry, 1246. Yeah, from 1246 down to, well, let's just round it up to 1230. So that's about $1,600 per contract available. And at this point, this has been such a parabolic move down, this would still have you absolutely 100% still in the trade. But we've also exceeded the $1,000 per contract rule. And this is, gold's been very volatile this week. We had a $2,000 move the other day off of the alert. Now, here with minimal risk, you get a $1,600 drop. Why can't they all be like that? It's a great question. As soon as I get the answer, you'll be the first to know. All right, we got 2 markets left. We got bonds. I tell you, we'd have to go through this really quick today, and we have. We have blazed through it. One of the quickest on record. Let's go 2030. There we go. All right, so on bonds, the idea was to buy 163.04, which did not happen, and to sell 161.31. That did not happen either. So no trigger on bonds. Occasionally that happens on bonds. I would probably say of all the markets, the ones that we experience a no trigger on the most often, and it's not that often. I mean, yesterday we had a $1,000 per contract move with not a lot of risk, and then today, no trigger, just kind of sideways. Last but not least, we'll roll out the soybeans, which, as Bert brought up in the live trading room, incredibly volatile. Now, the previous contract was quiet as a mouse. It was difficult to get the goal for the day because there wasn't any movement. But this contract has proved to be a little different story. So last night we were looking to buy 10.22. We got up to a high of 10.24. Okay, so there was 2 pennies to the upside, $50 a penny. That gives you your $100 per contract, just right on the nose. Okay, on the short side, we were looking to sell 10.16, and that's going to be a little bit lower, a little bit lower. Okay, so on this move down, look where your stop would have to be, way up here. Not good. Now where's your stop have to be? Much better. So if you're selling 10.16, swing low is 10.06, so that's 10 cents at $50 per penny. Very much like the S&P 500. There's 4 ticks to a point, or a penny. $12.50 per tick. 4 ticks equal a penny or a point, $50. And so that's what. So that was a 5. See, this is back to soybeans being soybeans. Now look over here. Look at this beauty. Look at the risk reward on this. Not much risk, but a whole lot of reward. And Bert pointed out today that everyone should get beans back on their radar because they've really been moving. Now the swing low from 10.16, we dropped all the way down to 9.88 1/4. So that would be 16.26. We'll just call it 26 cents. It's about $1,300 per contract if you put your indicators on there. This green candle here if it closes above the step line. No, because the step line is still on the south side of the MA1. But it's already done the $1,000 per contract. So, I mean, we may get a leg and a retrace and a continuation. I mean, that's what happened here. I mean, look, from the highs, leg, retrace, leg, retrace, leg, retrace. So there may be another leg to the downside. You could always get back in once you close back below the step line. Or you could have taken your profit when you hit $1,000 per contract. Anytime you have the opportunity to take $1,000 per contract, the best advice is to take it. S&P is still sitting quietly here, just bebopping along the top of this 2075-76. Looks like it's going to be quiet. Most of the energy is going to the NASDAQ today as it continues its decline. It is the weekend, guys, so by all means, do spend some quality time with your family. Of course, I'll see you all in church on Sunday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.